Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining me today for the Tuesday Facebook Live that Dean and I have been doing every week. Welcome, everybody, to this Tuesday version, and thank you so much for tuning in a little bit earlier today. It's normally at noon. So today I wanted to talk about soul health immunity. I know Dean did a wonderful Facebook Live talk last Friday. For those of you who didn't see it, I highly recommend it. Really talking about how to have a healthy immune system physically, and gave very practical tools and practices to do that. And I'm wanting to build on that talk and really go into sort of how we have soul and spirit healthy immune systems. It's so important. It's an important part of our work here as we're working sort of on the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit, that we equally address each part of us for ultimate and optimal health. And it's interesting, as we all are so familiar at this point, we are in a really interesting, challenging time, a real time of crisis. And times of crisis can go in a couple of different directions. You know, we can either take this as an opportunity to really be catapulting ourselves into higher versions of who we want to be and higher versions of the world that we want to live in. Or we can find ourselves sliding way backwards, sort of going back into survival victim consciousness, or really going forward into creator consciousness. And it's interesting, this is something that we are very familiar with, and it's exactly what we deal with every day here at the sanctuary. You know, people who are depressed and anxious and have addictions and trauma usually reach a place of a breakdown. They reach that crisis point. And in that moment, there's a choice point where they can either choose to keep sliding down, you know, and that can look like loss of family, loss of friends, not being able to function, you know, getting in legal problems, financial problems. And sadly, so often it can also lead to, you know, suicide. However, the other choice point is to say, I surrender and I don't want to live like this anymore. You know, just surviving isn't working. A life of symptom management isn't working. I don't want to be living by the hormones of stress. They want something more. And they're not just wanting to get back to some old version of themselves. They have a deep sense that this addiction or trauma or depression, this crisis moment, is a wake-up call for them to rise above into something far greater than they could ever imagine. They want more than to just stop doing something or feeling just safe. What they're wanting is a life of sacred meaning, of purpose, where if it was their last breath, they would say, wow, this was a life that was well lived, a fulfilled life. And they're wanting to figure out how to do that, because so often of the conditioning and the programming and the messages and the belief systems they've been given is that they're limited, that they are not empowered. And so a lot of our work is to help unpack that and give them a new perception. And it's interesting because this is exactly what is happening right now on our planet. This crisis is actually this moment, our choice point, where either we're going to catapult ourselves into something greater and our world into something greater, more sustainable, more thriving, or we're going to find ourselves completely backsliding into a world, into a reality that I don't think most of us are going to want to be in. So it's interesting. Going backwards means that we're sliding kind of backwards into more of a reptilian mind, more of our limbic mind, that we are in a state of stress, that we are feeling a lot of fear. And we know, I mean, the science says that the greatest detriment to our immune system and our immune system health is feeling stressed. It's just a fact. And one of the leading causes underlying stress is fear. And I can tell you we've all been gripped, even myself, at moments of deep fears. We're facing deep questions about our own self going forward. And so it's interesting, a lot of the measures and practices that people have now been encouraged to do or are doing are actually probably the worst things that we could be doing for our immune system health. And like I had shared earlier, Dean really shared this beautifully on Friday. For instance, we know that for immune system health, that we can't be inflamed. We can't be in a state of inflammation. And so what causes inflammation? Well, what we eat. So at this point, if we're finding ourselves eating more processed foods and we're overeating and we're eating a lot of sugar, then our body is not in an optimal state to help support our immune system. It actually deters from it. We know that we need to be connected with human beings. We just have to. We are tribal by nature. We have to have heart connection. And sadly, I'm sure all of you have experienced this, that even those going out wearing face masks or gloves, there's no eye contact. There's such distrust, in fact, especially kind of between the masks people and the unmasked people. There's a growing animosity. And it's probably one of the disheartening things for myself as I read social media posts and friends and community are turning against each other. And we even had a naturopath here in Sedona post that people not wearing masks who are threatening lives should be held at gunpoint to see what it feels like to be threatened. That's going the wrong direction. That's in a state of survival mode. We know that what we hear, what we choose to listen to, directly can affect our emotional system and our emotional body and our stress response. So if all we're listening to is fear and statistics and that's the only thing we're listening to, kind of this barrage of gloom and doom and disempowerment and not trusting ourselves or one another, believe me, that raises our cortisol levels and it lowers our immune system. We know we need to be outside. We need vitamin D. We need the sun. We need nature. This is all, peer-reviewed science stuff. This isn't just, kind of made up anecdotal. We need this for a healthy immune system. We need to not have negative beliefs. If we believe we're powerless and we get into hopelessness and despair, that again lowers our immune system and we're going backwards. We're going the direction that I don't think most of us want to go. And yet so many of us are like caught back there. So instead, at this moment, we can all, stop and change direction at any time, really speaking from my own heart. And I teach, a lot of this stuff, and I'm a holistic, teacher of health and wellness and trauma recovery. And yet I too have taken the bait, gotten caught in the fear-mongering narrative at times, and have felt my own emotional and physical and energetic system tank. And it's wonderful as at any moment I can stop, as we all can, and change direction. So rather than being defined by fear, defined by our past, defined by the limbic brain, we can stop and decide, no, right now, I'm going to choose to change direction and go forward. I want to be pulled by possibility and pulled by destiny, informed by possibility. And for those of you who have been in this movement for a while, what do you want? The consciousness movement, the waking up, the understanding about holistic health and wellness, I really call on all of you to speak up now. Your voices are more important than ever, even though there's a lot of censorship around that. Now is the time to speak up and share your wisdom and truth and to fully embody it and to become it and to show people what it looks like to be living and moving in the other direction towards possibility and hope. So I want to give some real practical guidance towards what that means and how to do it, either as reminders for those of us that know this, but may have gotten off track or gotten a little stuck, or maybe as new information for people that didn't know that we are more powerful than we've ever been taught, that we've ever been told, meaning that our human bodies and our human technology and our interconnectedness with nature and the universe is so incredibly perfectly designed that we are more powerful in ways than you could even ever have imagined. So one good starting place is really understanding about the body and how the body heals and how the body functions. That we are an integrative, system that works beautifully when in harmony, when in balance, and when are given the environment and the support that it needs. So I really recommend for those of you, go learn about functional medicine. I recommend Dr. Mark Hyman's website. Go learn about it. Go learn about this approach or integrative medicine. Go get on Dr. Andrew Weil's website and learn about how beautiful the body works together in ways that are so simple and so perfect that we can do without a lot of the old, without just having to use pharmaceuticals or the different approach. I really recommend that you learn about supplements. And a lot of people talk about supplements. Sadly, a lot of information about supplements are being taken down off YouTube and Facebook. One of my favorite websites regarding this has been taken down. It was a little disheartening. But Dr. David Perlmutter's a really wonderful resource to find out about brain health and gut health and how they work together and how we can change our serotonin levels and be able to think clearly and not be in brain fog and which supplements are important and how they work and goes into some wonderful science around it. Dr. Alberto Villoldo has also written a wonderful book about growing a new body. Learn about that. Learn about the fact that we are not predestined to stay sick or predestined to have certain illnesses just because our families did. That whether or not we have compromised immune systems, we can uncompromise them. That even if there was a predilection for addiction or trauma or depression or any of this, that we don't have to stay stuck in that way. There's something called epigenetics. I recommend go learn about Dr. Bruce Lipton's work. He's an inspirational speaker. He's going to teach you about epigenetics, how the fact that how our genes express healthy or express unhealthy. 80% is dependent on environmental factors. 60 out of the 80% dependent on what we think and how we feel about ourselves. And this is powerful stuff, and it's science. It's not anything woo-woo. It's not conspiracy. It's not fake. I mean, it's peer-reviewed, and you can go research for yourself and find out. Learn about neuroplasticity. About how we can learn to rewire and change who we are. A wonderful teacher on this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's done incredible research on this about neuroplasticity and the power to change ourselves and to learn about the placebo effect. Really recommend that you learn about heart-brain coherence, that when we're coherent with here and here, that we have a technology that we activate and turn on that can literally create the chemical factory we need to heal. And that not only that, it creates this field of energy that can affect the world and those that we care about. I recommend highly to go onto the HeartMath Institute, read about the science, read about peer-reviewed science talking about this that will empower you and give you hope. Most of us, that are probably watching this believe that we're not just the physical body, that we are dimensional beings, that we have a soul, an authentic part of ourselves, an eternal part of ourselves. Go remember that. Go get inspired. Go remember what it is to come from this place and how powerful it is. Again, Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing something wonderful right now. A lot of his work has been around the power of gratitude and love and how that affects our immune system. And again, this isn't anecdotal. He's actually done a lot of scientific research and experiments around this. And so as COVID-19 is being going around and spoken about, he's created Go Love 20, which is this beautiful, wonderful, it's gone viral, this meditation where people send texts and messages of love and appreciation to others, holding them in a meditation in a heart space. And he's offering that for free for people. So go find that. Go listen to your favorite inspirational speakers. I'm loving Michael Beckwith right now of Agape out of LA. He's so inspiring. You know, he's reminding us of the luminous beings we are, the empowered beings that we are. Go pick up your meditation practice, whatever that may be. One of my favorite meditation teachers is Tara Brach. She's absolutely wonderful. But there's a great app called Insight, which has meditation teachers and teachings and practices of all different types. This is going in the direction we want to go. This is catapulting ourselves to where we want to go. This is who we, I believe, came here to be. You know, we came here to be on a soul's journey. We knew that this time was coming. We've been waiting for this time. We knew that what wasn't working. We don't want that. But we certainly don't want to go back even further to where we came from, to live in a world where we're hateful to one another, that families are being split apart, that we're shaming and blaming, that we're more concerned about not dying than living a full life, that we're not coming from our hearts, you know, that we're giving away our rights to speak, that share ideas, that anybody with another opinion is called stupid or an idiot. We don't want that world. We just don't want that world. We certainly don't want to give away the rights of our own health and our bodies so that a government can, you know, dictate what's put into my body. I don't want that world. So my focus is on what I do want. And there's enough science and information and teachers and guidance to get us on that path, and practices that will take us there. So just a strong reminder again, for those of you that have been on this path and maybe gone into a little bit of shock and grief and are suffering a little PTSD from this, you know, do what you need to do to take care of yourself, but like wake up and start living what you believe and what you've been teaching, and be the way showers right now. Please, we need that. And for those of you that kind of have a sense that what you're being told isn't right, it doesn't feel right, there's a confusion, you're not really sure what to believe, well, please, I invite you to go look at the resources that I gave you. Like them, dislike them, but at least it's going to give you a more empowered, alternative point of view about who we are and the strength of who we are. And one other person I'd really like to recommend strongly is Greg Braden. His work, he's also a scientist, but he has written all about asking the big question, who are we? Like, as human beings, you know, why are we here? And he gives you such wonderful information about false information we've been given, that we've created realities around. So to help us so that we don't have to keep falling back into those old false narratives that aren't even true, You know, we thrive in cooperation, not competition. So for all of you, thank you so much for joining me today. And again, just really want to gently or maybe strongly remind everyone that we are powerful beyond measure, that we have got the divine sacred geometry of who we are, that we are deeply connected to one another and to the field and to this planet, that we have inner technology to heal ourselves so that we don't have to be victims or prey to viruses or other people, places, or things, that we have the ability to change the world through our own belief systems and through meditation practices, through heart-brain coherence, that we've got tools at our, just like right at our fingertips, literally. So please stay looking forward and not backwards, and definitely stay centered here. Thank you so much for joining me today, and really sending you all deep love, deep messages of empowerment and hope, and look forward to seeing you next week at the normal time at noon. And please check in with Dean on Friday at noon to share in his inspiration and wisdom, and wishing you a beautiful day.